Hello and welcome back as folks are joining us on our live. So excited to have you all with me. My phone is starting to topple. Of course, we're 4 weeks in, but it's the fourth week of Advent, which just means there's just absolute chaos in the world these days. As far as there's so many things to get done in this fourth week of the Advent season, as our families are perhaps starting to come into town, as the gifts are being wrapped up, as the phones are continuing to fall. We're so excited to have you back with us here on Ave Explores Live on our Ave Maria Press Instagram page. We've been doing these for the past few weeks. This is our fourth week to really dive into the themes of Advent by way of praying together and talking through Father John Burns's beautiful Advent journal, Adore, that are accompanied by Valerie Delgado's beautiful drawings that really help us dig into the true meaning of the Advent season. We are, of course, also, for a lot of people, on Christmas break, which means kids might be home from school, which is my loving way of letting you know that right now my children are happily watching a Peppa Pig episode in the kitchen and having their lunch. One of them is contained in a high chair. The other one, 4, knows that I'm doing this Instagram Live in my office and has been told not to come back here. But just in case, Rose might pop in at some point, just FYI. We are so excited that once again we get to join together with Valerie Delgado to talk through the themes of this week, to talk through the image of this week, to pray together, to talk about what this fourth week of Advent really leads up to, which is, of course, Christmas. So she's going to join us on our broadcast. Let's get her joining. Fingers crossed, all the technology, of course, always works together here on our Ave Explores Live. Valerie will be popping on in just a second. There she is.
Hello.
Fourth week in a row. Happy Advent again.
Happy Advent again, yes.
I guess I should say Merry Christmas too, because we're not going to do this next Monday.
I know, it's crazy.
It's become a nice little break in the craziness of my week to sit down and to talk to you about the themes of the fourth week of Advent. So we are only, I'm looking at my calendar, 4 days away from Christmas Eve, really kicking off all the celebrations. What does this fourth week of Advent include for you? What are some of the things on your, of course, probably very long to-do list?
Yeah, well, for me, spiritually, I've made it a goal to make it to confession this week. It's Monday, so I have it planned out to go this week. I just feel like that's just such a great way to start Christmas. But other than that, a lot of cleaning the house, baking cookies, all of the typical Christmassy things. But just really, there's so much excitement, in having family together and celebrating this season. It's just so joyful, and I'm so excited.
I love there's lots of cleaning to be done, because I may or may not have had a little bit of a freak out on my family yesterday to be like, there's stuff to do, and there's just this, it'll get done, and who's the it'll get done falling on?
Right.
Typically mom, right? And so I said, these are the quads of the house. These are the quadrants. Everybody needs to fan out and do something, and I'll come behind you and probably have to fix it. But the point is, we're all going to contribute, because, the same way that we talked about preparation and watchfulness in the early parts of the season, right now we're in this week of Emmanuel, God with us. And if God's coming to my house, if I'm celebrating the birth of the King, like I want the areas of my heart to be ready. I want the parts of my home to be ready. I want this celebration to be as great as possible. Tell us how you like to celebrate Christmas. Are there any family traditions that you really love to invest in? Like, what is the way that you welcome the newborn King?
Yeah, so my family, we're all a little spread out. My family comes from Puerto Rico, so each season, especially when we don't travel anywhere, it's just us, my immediate family here at home. We love to wait to bring Jesus out from our nativity until like Christmas morning, and we'll just all sit together and just chat about our hopes for the coming year around the Christmas tree, and then we'll open presents, we'll make it to daily mass. So it's just very small and intimate and intentional, which is something that I really love. So yeah,
the intentionality, right? Like so many times, I think with little kids right now, there's this worry of there's so many things that we have to do. But I find that the less is more attitude actually gives us a much more fruitful approach to both liturgical living and maybe the celebration of Christmas. It's okay if we're not doing the antiphons properly every night. Like, as long as I hang the ornament on the tree, I feel like we're actually, we're doing it in some way. And the theme this week that Father John really delves into in the book is Emmanuel, that word. What does it mean for God to be with us? The stillness that really should maybe invoke rather than the frenzy. I think back to when my girls were born, and those first few hours after baby's born, you just need to rest. Like, you just need to literally like kick your legs up and nothing really take the place of just spending time with this baby and God coming into the world. Nothing should really take us away from just wanting to rest in him.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about, I'm going to go ahead and flip the script or flip the screen as we get set up for our color. And of course the phone is, hopefully I'll be able to balance it properly. There we go. So this week's image is particularly beautiful. It reminds me, I think I mentioned this in the earliest days that we had one of these. I have this statue of Saint Joseph that is holding baby Jesus, and Mary looking down, very similar to what this is. Where did your inspiration come from this week for Emmanuel?
Yeah, so I feel like this week for me, the biggest themes were just silence and intimacy. And I couldn't help but think about Saint Joseph and how, he's been journeying with Mary this whole time. They probably had several nights of just like wondering and dreaming like, oh man, what is Christ going to be like? And, Mary's been carrying Jesus in his womb, but really when Jesus is born, this is the first time that Joseph gets to see him face to face with the Son of God. And I don't know, I just picture them looking down and just thinking, this is it. This was worth it. Every long night, every night of hunger and tiredness, like here we are. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy that he is here.
I love that we finally made it, right? Like the 9 months are up and we have no idea what's next. We don't know exactly what's coming next, but he's with us right now. And as with your other images, light plays a really important role. Obviously, the Christ child is illuminated with his halo around his head. You can see it in the original art, but I love how Jesus's halo is different than Mary and Joseph's halo.
Yeah, it's a different kind of light, it's heaven and earth together here. So yeah, I couldn't help but make it a little different than Mary and Joseph's.
And there's also, I'm going to turn my camera just a little bit. There's the path behind them, which I think is there's such depth in this image of, we get the same sky that we've had in some of the other images. Obviously, we still have Mary and Joseph with us. We get the star and the blues of the sky, but I love that imagery of the path, like they've walked a long journey. They've walked a long way to get to where they are in this moment. Evergreen trees behind them, light shining down upon them. How did you sit down and pray with this particular word when you were, for folks who maybe haven't watched our other weeks, you can always go back on the Ave Maria Press Instagram page and find them. But remind us again, you didn't have the entire journal when you sat down to do these images.
Yeah, so by week 4, I had 3 words, and it was womb, silence, intimacy. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. But yeah, just my favorite is also the path, showcasing that journey that they did take. And I think sometimes like we tend to not focus on that part as much as like, okay, yay, they made it to the stable. There's a manger. Here he is. Here's a look. But it's like, that was a long, long journey that they had to take to get to this point. And I think like Christ finally arriving after such a long journey means all the more, it's that they've been through a lot to get to where they are. So I loved being able to focus on that a little bit as well.
The concept of journey, I think I mentioned this on one of our weeks, Rose on a random day from school, she's like, Mary and Joseph are on the path right now. Like they are walking to Bethlehem right now. And it was this real awareness of like in a kid's head that she, like she is imagining the days that are leading up to Jesus's birth. There's also, we just got a comment in the chat, that St. Joseph doesn't look old in this picture. A lot of times we do get a depiction of Joseph as kind of an older man. Right. He was older than Mary. We know that historically, but yeah, he looks like a young guy who was, willing to fight off the people who were trying to capture them, who were looking to harm them, who was trying to provide for his family. And your image of St. Joseph from last week, we get the smiley Joseph who's excited. And this is kind of clearly the amazed Joseph. Like you can see the slits of his eyes. We can see that awe on his face. And this is the same Joseph that we also see in some of your other art. How do you pray through maybe these images of the Holy Family? How would somebody maybe be able to sit and contemplate these images, maybe do Visio Divina? Tell us a little bit about praying with art as we wrap up our series for the past 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, especially when it comes to Saint Joseph, I love, picturing him as a grown man who is strong, who protects his family, who would do anything for them. So obviously, like, I do want to portray him a little younger than, I guess, more traditional art. But yeah, when it comes to praying with Catholic art, with Christian art, um, just being able to kind of put yourself in that image as if you were witnessing it firsthand in person. Like, what is the Lord trying to bring to me through this image? Whether it's peace or just contemplating the lives of the saints and the Holy Family, and just giving the Lord freedom to move our hearts in whatever image that we're praying with.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times we talk about Lectio Divina, right? Sitting down with the
Mm-hmm.
word, sitting down with the phrase, what is it that strikes you? And this is it's a whole other level of being able to really try to imagine, where would I be standing on that path while watching the
Mm-hmm.
Holy Family? Or, what emotion is running through Mary's mind? What thoughts is Joseph thinking? What plans are being made? How safe did baby Jesus feel in this moment, right? In his
Mm-hmm.
father's arms, and his mother there ready to feed him. I mean, what do you think is a good image for people to really spend Christmas with? Out of the book, obviously, this is, I think, the first one. But is there any encouragement of another art image or something else that somebody could maybe dig into? What image maybe will you be spending time with for the Christmas season?
Yeah, well, I mean, one image that always sticks out to me is actually from the movie The Nativity. Gosh, it probably came out in the early 2000s ish, but there's just a scene where Joseph is completely awestruck of Mary finally giving birth to Christ, and just the look that Mary gives Joseph as Joseph is looking at Jesus is just so beautiful and endearing, and it's always one of my favorites. But really, just any image of the three of them, the Holy Family together, intimate. There's also an image I've seen, gosh, I can't think of the artist right now, where Mary is asleep and Joseph is
Mm-hmm.
sitting on like a stack of hay or something, and he's just kind of looking down at Jesus in the manger. She's resting and he's sitting, just again in awe, but also in a like protective kind of way. Also, like he's going to be there to watch out for both of them as they sleep and as they rest. And it's one of my favorites each year.
That image is one of the ones we display on our mantle next to that. We've got like
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7 nativity scenes in one room of the
Yeah.
house right now, because that's the heart of the home, and that's what we want to be looking at during this Christmas season. Well, keep coloring as we wrap things up, Valerie, because I think folks love, it's so soothing to watch somebody else. Not just soothing to color ourselves, but it's so soothing to watch somebody else with beautifully done nails also color.
Tis
We
the
here
season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We here at Ave Maria Press are so excited that you have joined us for this Instagram Live series for the past few weeks. If you liked all of this, we have everything cataloged and saved over on our Instagram profile. You can click over to it and you can find all 4 of them that we've done, as well as links to our podcast, which really digs into the theme of Father John Burns, his book Adore, and how we can really pray through the season. One thing we had a friend over for dinner last night, a priest friend of ours, and we were chatting about how does he really spend time preparing for Christmas? Mainly because, and this is from a priest perspective, they've got a marathon coming up this weekend. You have to go to mass on Christmas, then you have to go to mass for Sunday. So you could either do like the vigil on Friday, and then you can get ready and go on Sunday morning first thing. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's what's coming up for this particular Christmas year. But even also, so the Christmas season is a marathon. We get 12 full days to celebrate, 12 full days to really contemplate this Holy Family that has come into the world, this Christ child, Emmanuel, God with us. And Father John Burns reflects on it so beautifully in this 4th week of Advent. If you have the book, the 4th week of Advent leaves a lot of freedom and room to really dig into your thoughts and your feelings, and what it is for all of us to really try to contemplate the watchfulness, the preparation, the readying of our hearts, the stillness that we're called to have, that intimacy that we're invited into. And so we would encourage you in these final few days of the Advent season to really rest and reflect with this contemplation of the Holy Family has come into the world to be close to me. How can I draw closer to them as well? Everything from the themes of the book, like we said, have been dug into, and you can go back and listen to our other 4 Ave Explorers lives, these color and sip lives that we've done with Valerie. They're all saved on our Instagram page. We talk about some of the symbolism of the colors. We talk about some of the inspiration for the reason that Mary is in these hues of blues and the source of light in the different images, everything from the first stable image to this final image of the Holy Family. They're about probably 45 minutes to an hour worth of content. Everything's available on our Instagram page. Everything's available on our website. You can sign up for Ave Explorers emails and never miss any of the awesome content that we're creating, as well as sign up to get all of the new stuff that's coming in the new year, new Ave Explorers series and new podcasts, especially for Lent, which will also be another wonderful visual guided journal from Sister Miriam James Heidland. So lots more to come. Don't miss anything. Sign up over at avemariapress.org to get all of our Ave Explorers content straight to your inbox for free. We hope that you have a very holy and healthy and happy last few days of this Advent season. And then, of course, we hope that you have a wonderful Merry Christmas. If you have any questions about where you can find Valerie's art, you can click on over to her profile, Pax.Valerie. She has a link right in her profile to her shop with amazing things. Quite a few Pax.Valerie items are under my Christmas tree right now for family and friends, as well as click on over to avemariapress.com. You can find some links there, as well as some discount codes, and you can grab awesome Catholic books for people this holiday season. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be back in 2022 with a whole lot more for Ave Explorers, and we can't wait to see you then. Merry Christmas, everybody.